President-elect Joe Biden is encouraging Americans to stay safe during the Thanksgiving holiday. In a video shared on social media, Mr. Biden urged the nation to follow coronavirus guidelines and spend time only with their immediate households. He also called on the country to heal its political divisions. Meanwhile, at the White House, President Trump spent his holiday continuing to push baseless claims about voter fraud and denying the results of the election. CBS News White House correspondent Ben Tracy has the latest.
I know one thing, Joe Biden did not get 80 million votes.
Mr. Biden did get 80 million votes, but President Trump refuses to accept that reality.
I want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving.
After offering Thanksgiving greetings to troops stationed overseas, the president answered questions for the first time since losing the election and launched into more baseless attacks on the results.
If you look at the numbers are false. The numbers are corrupt. It was a rigged election, 100%, and people know it.
There is no evidence of widespread voter fraud, and the president's lawyers have failed in almost all of their legal efforts contesting the results in multiple states.
It's going to be a very hard thing to concede because we know there was massive fraud.
The president stopped short of conceding the election and scolded a reporter who pressed him on it.
Don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
He also would not speculate on a 2024 run, but he did say he will leave the White House peacefully in January with a caveat.
Certainly I will. Certainly I will. And you know that. But I think that there will be a lot of things happening between now and the 20th of January.
It's a personal sacrifice that each of our families can make and should make.
President-elect Joe Biden struck a different tone. He and wife Jill remained at their Delaware home instead of Nantucket, where they usually host a large family gathering for the holiday. They spoke with healthcare workers and released a video on Twitter, praising frontline workers and speaking to the economic and personal pain many Americans have faced this year.
History has shown, and all of you have shown, that there's nothing we can't do if we do it together.
President Trump plans to campaign in Georgia next weekend for the two Republicans who are running in Senate runoff races there. The president also called the Republican Secretary of State an enemy of the people because he certified the election there for Joe Biden. Ben Tracy, CBS News, the White House.
For more, I want to bring in Eugene Scott. He's a political reporter for the Washington Post. Eugene, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate it. We noted there that the president is saying he'll leave office if the Electoral College confirms President-elect Biden. But leaving the White House really isn't up to Mr. Trump at this point. What language does it say in the Constitution? What language is used to address this, really?
Well, the reality is that what the Constitution tells us is that after an election, certainly after the Electoral College confirms their votes, after the population has spoken as well, that the winner of the Electoral College is who will be inaugurated. And that's what is expected to happen moving forward. And where we are right now in this process is on track for that to happen, even coming so far from President Trump himself, who, while not making a full pivot towards supporting the outcome of the 2020 election, is incrementally moving towards leaving office himself.
Still, it seems here, Eugene, that the president says he plans to continue his election lawsuits as he makes these baseless claims about fraud. Could there be a long-term impact of the president's voter fraud accusations here? And what's the latest on these lawsuits?
Well, we know that at least 38 of 39 lawsuits have been kicked out of court, or the Trump campaign has lost. And we also know that this ethic, or not necessarily this ethic, but this idea, we should say, that there was voter fraud, has really caught on with the Republican base that supported Trump. We know that at least 50% of Republican voters believe that there was fraud despite there not being any evidence. And long term, that could be a part of the narrative of the 2020 election that Trump and his supporters carry with them beyond inauguration. But it is worth noting that we are seeing some members of conservative media, including Fox News, an organization that's been incredibly loyal to the president, come out and say, you know what, the reality is based on the outcome of the 2020 election, President Trump lost. And so it'll be really interesting to see how far he is able to carry this narrative successfully after things move forward in January.
Well, I know, though, when I covered the election from the state of Arizona, that state was called very early on by conservative media, and that had a lot of his supporters turn on Fox News specifically. So it's going to be interesting to see if his supporters end up agreeing or not. We just heard Ben Tracy report, too, that President Trump says he plans on heading to Georgia next week to help campaign in the Senate runoffs there. On Friday morning, he actually he tweeted urging his supporters not to boycott the election. How involved do Republicans want Mr. Trump to be at this point?
Well, the reality is that President Trump is still popular with Republican voters. But what we also know is that the presence of President Trump led to increased turnout among voters on the left. So there are people who voted in 2020 who did not vote in 2016. And one of the main reasons they voted was that they wanted to vote against Trump. And so while his presence in Georgia could lead to increased turnout among conservative voters, it also could backfire and lead to a Democratic victory because of those voters on both the right and the left who do not want to see a Congress, specifically a Senate, where people who embrace Trumpism are involved in the policy-making process.
It's going to be interesting to watch that one. While President-elect Biden did win at least 6 million more votes than President Trump, he did lose ground with several constituencies, among them evangelical Latinos, particularly in Florida, we saw, and in South Texas. You write about former President Obama's reaction to this. What did he say, and what do you think about it?
Well, we saw President Barack Obama share that there were evangelical Hispanics who voted against Biden because, and I'm paraphrasing at this point, they care more about keeping LGBT rights from moving forward and making abortion as restrictive as possible, more than they care about immigration and racism. That is actually not why many evangelical Latinos said they voted against Biden. We have reporting suggesting that fears about the Democratic Party's closeness with socialism led many of these voters to back away from Biden out of fear that America could move closer to being run like the governments of the countries that these voters fled to come to the United States. There's no data to support that conservative Christian Latinos care more about retarding gay rights and abortion rights than undocumented workers in cages. And it furthered the narrative that the Democratic Party is having a difficult time understanding the Latino electorate, and that's something that they're going to have to work on significantly if they want to be victorious in the 2022 midterms.
Eugene Scott, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.